Well, it's just a beautiful day out right now. We did start off with a cooler morning, but we are going to be seeing a high of 77 degrees for today. There is a lake wind advisory going on right now until 7 o'clock p.m., which means that there's a lot of wind around the lakes, and they aren't advising for people to go out into the waters until after 7 o'clock today. The only place that you're allowed to have guns on campus is right here, locked in the trunk of your car. Orange County Animal Shelter says that only 31% of dogs who enter their shelter are reunited with their owners, and that's compared to the 5.5% of cats who make their way back home. Apple has done it again. On Wednesday, Apple announced its new iGadget line for the fall. The Institute for Economics and Peace reports more than 140,000 people have been killed in terrorist attacks since the year 2000. One of the most known terrorist groups is ISIS, or the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. Tuesday, there was a protest to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Florida's minimum wage of $8.05 is higher than the federal wage of $7.25. We spoke to a local restaurant owner who has some employees working for minimum wage. She told us how she believes the pay increase could affect small businesses.
I got 35 employees. If I have to lay off half of them, those are 15 only from this location. Imagine how many other family-owned businesses are here.
Kenya Gonzalez is the local business owner of the restaurant and cafe Rice and Beans. Her vision came to life 10 years ago when she and her husband moved to Florida. Gonzalez says she would love to be able to pay her employees $15 an hour. She just can't afford to.
So you get rice and beans and meat and sweet plantains and, salad if you want to add it too. There is no way I could pay someone who's serving that $6.89 plate of food $15 an hour.
Statistics from the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity show that in the past 15 years, the highest pay increase was $1 in the year 2005. But for the people who protested in downtown Orlando, that raise and the smaller ones that have followed are not good enough.
It's unfair to pay people low wages. People can't live off $8 an hour.
Orange County tax collector Scott Randolph says he and his family lived on minimum wage for 1 week to experiment the lifestyle. Randolph says no one should have to live that way.
Most minimum wage workers don't have health insurance. So to make that experience real, I didn't go to my doctor. I went to a clinic and there was another $50 out the door that I didn't have.
Gonzalez says she would be on board with raising the minimum wage, but almost doubling it is unreasonable.
It's really tough, and it's something that I wouldn't wish on anyone.
Jennifer Vargas does not have breast cancer, but ever since her mother Pam Stibe was diagnosed, her life took a harsh turn. From an early age, Vargas learned cancer doesn't discriminate.
It doesn't matter where you live, who you are, what sort of walk of life you're from.
Cancer specialist Dr. Lisa Minton says young women like Vargas should not live in fear, but with caution.
When you have somebody in your family who's been diagnosed with breast cancer, what we ask you to do is start screening 10 years younger than your youngest relative. So say your aunt was diagnosed with breast cancer at age 45. Then we would recommend that you begin your screening at age 35.
I'm 21 years old, and although Dr. Minton says that not many women my age sit in this waiting room to get mammograms, 1 in 8 women are at risk of getting breast cancer at some point in their life. The American Cancer Society reports 1 in 173 women under the age of 40 will get breast cancer. Minton says even though younger women tend to get sonograms, mammograms are better for detecting calcium deposits, which can signify the earliest forms of breast cancer. Vargas continues to spread awareness of breast cancer research through organizations on social media, an effort she says is in honor of her mom.
You were my mom. You always were there for me. You always took care of me, and now it's my turn to take care of you.
Walking around campus, John Grandi may seem like your average guy, but even though he now wears black and gold, he once wore a uniform to serve our country.
Serving in the military, it's not easy. You're away from your family.
To honor veterans like Grandi, the Veteran History Project at UCF has put together a whole month of events. Organizers say their main focus is searching for Central Florida veterans and archiving stories from their time serving. Tiffany Rivera says to date they've gathered about 400 stories.
So it's an opportunity to give veterans a voice and to pass those stories on to future generations. And I think that's important, and I don't think a lot of universities are making that an initiative.
Each one of the flags that you see here on Memory Mall have been inserted into the ground to represent the veterans who have enrolled as UCF students for the fall semester. There are 1,386 flags on this field. Grandi says he's had lots of unforgettable moments during his time in the Marines. One of those moments was the day he met his wife.
I was awestruck when I saw her. I knew I had to get her attention somehow.
Chincita Grandi is a veteran and UCF student who also vividly remembers that day.
And he kept asking way too many questions, and I realized that I wanted to beat him up after the meeting, and that's when he came up to me and started trying to get to know me.
The couple says they're overwhelmed with the amount of support UCF offers veterans, and they believe other universities should follow suit. Senior Austin Wallace's hobby is more explosive than most. Wallace is president of the gun club at UCF. The club wants the right to carry guns on campus for protection.
It is a person's responsibility to protect themselves. Nobody else really takes on that responsibility.
Mississippi, where the Delta State shooting took place, is one of the 7 states that allow carrying concealed weapons. However, Delta State police officials told Nightly News the university has a zero-tolerance gun policy. UCF spokesperson Courtney Gilmartin says UCF takes many safety precautions, but she says one of the best ways to minimize harm is for people to speak up to the police.
And so we have a student of concern process at UCF, and what we are asking students and faculty and staff members to do is to let the university know if they see some of those warning signs and let us take control of the situation and handle it in order to prevent something like a mass shooting.
However, for Wallace, this is still a concern. He says police are the only ones with guns that can legally protect others, but they can't always be there on time.
Every now and then they can prevent a crime, but you can only rely on yourself and those in your community.
Wallace says he's joining the Students for Concealed Carry group who are currently spreading awareness on social media for Senate Bill 68, a bill in favor of carrying guns on campus. As for UCF, police officials say they will continue to follow the current law.